Once upon a time, in a grand kingdom, there ruled a wise and noble king. His people loved him, for he was just and kind. But he had one great worry: his only son and heir, Prince Adin. The young prince was strong, intelligent, and fearless, but he was also arrogant. He believed power made a man great, not wisdom or kindness. He looked down upon the commoners and often boasted that one day the world would bow before him. The king saw this pride growing in his son's heart, and he knew he had to teach him a lesson before it was too late. One day, the king called for his son. Adin, he said, "It is time for you to learn what it truly means to rule. Come, we shall go on a journey." Eager and proud, Adin followed his father. They rode out of the palace, through the bustling streets of the kingdom, and into the wild lands beyond. After hours of travel, they reached a dark and forgotten part of the kingdom, a ruined city. The buildings were crumbling, the streets empty, and the air filled with silence. Adin looked around in confusion. "Father, what is this place?" The king sighed. "This was once the mightiest city in our land. It was ruled by a king more powerful than I. He was feared, his army strong, his wealth uncountable. But he had one weakness: pride." The prince listened as his father continued. He believed he was greater than his people, greater than the laws of the land. He ruled with arrogance, ignored the wisdom of his advisors, and crushed anyone who stood against him. His power made him blind to reason. Then, one day, his own generals turned against him. His people, tired of his cruelty, refused to fight for him. His allies abandoned him. And so, the mighty king, who thought himself untouchable, was left alone. His enemies came, and this great city was reduced to ruins. Not a soul remains to speak his name. Prince Adin swallowed hard. What was his name? The king looked his son in the eye and said, "His name does not matter, for pride erased it from history. His power was great, but his arrogance destroyed him. That, my son, is the fate of those who let pride rule their hearts." For the first time, Adin felt the weight of his father's words. He looked at the ruins, at the broken statues, at the silence that spoke louder than any warning. As they rode back to the palace, the young prince was no longer the same. He had seen the future that awaited those who let power consume them. From that day on, Adin ruled his heart before seeking to rule a kingdom. He listened more, treated his people with kindness, and understood that true strength was not in how much one could control, but in how much one could serve. Moral lesson: pride and arrogance are the downfall of even the mightiest rulers. True greatness is found in wisdom, humility, and the ability to lead with a heart that serves rather than a hand that crushes.